$1 million this year in funding.
We'd like to ask where the money's going.
السلام عليكم، مرحبا، كيفكم؟ شو الاخبار؟ معكم عبيد كلاسم. جبنا لكم فيديو جديد ان شاء الله ينال اعجابكم. الفيديو اليوم يا جماعه عن المحقق كونان اللي عم يشتغل بمينيابوليس بعمليات احتيال. نيك شيرلي يكشف عمليات احتيال صومالية ولا تزال في ولاية مينيسوتا. بدنا نشوف الفيديو ونعطي ردة فعلنا عليه ان شاء الله. رح نضحك. تحية كبيرة لكم. نشوف الفيديو ونقول بسم الله. يلا.
They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And between the two of these childcare centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year, and there are no.
طبعا يا جماعة راح شوف الفيديو ونعلق.
Children. Every facility you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here.
So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children.
Let me ask you a simple question. If a daycare is licensed for 70 kids, where are the kids? Because in Minnesota right now, which is ridiculous despite all of the attention this state has been getting, there are still daycare centers getting millions of dollars from taxpayers with no kids inside. There's no noise, there's no toys, no staff, just locked doors and blacked out windows. Now here's the crazy part of all this. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, says that this fraud problem is being handled. He said that the attorney general, they're all on it.
I'm the one that's fixing it. I'm the one putting these guys in jail. And I'm the one that you're starting to see this progress is making a difference.
But an investigative journalist.
يعني يا جماعة هلأ فطنوا انه ما في اطفال دار الرعاية يعني او بالاطفال. هلأ فطنوا، هلأ عرفوا انه ما في. يعني قديش لهم 30 سنة ممكن اكتر ما بعرف، بس هلأ عرفوا، هلأ لحتى دريوا.
By the name of Nick Shirley went down there recently. Same buildings, same businesses, same checks, same. Let's get into it.
Why can't I check out the daycare? Okay, but if I can't get paperwork or anything to submit my son, little Joey, to come in here to daycare?
Nick Shirley is a conservative YouTuber and political commentator. He is known for the man on the street interviews, walking right up to people in the public spaces, protests, political events, and asking uncomfortable questions. So he's on the ground, he is pulling up at these addresses and knocking on doors. And now he is investigating the Minnesota fraud situation. He's doing what the state should have done years ago. The link to the full video will be in the description box below. So let's look at the fact that there's just no kids ever.
Please leave.
Are there children here?
Please leave.
Where are the children? $2.6 million for a daycare center. We're asking where the children are at.
Don't ask me anything.
We're not accusing you, we're asking the daycare centers.
I'm not going to answer. There's a child care not far from here in Minneapolis that has two child cares listed at the same address, and together they're licensed supposedly for 120 children.
So this isn't very complicated here, right? I mean, this is why this entire fraud is collapsing, because there's so much attention to it. This isn't accountant tricks. This is basic reality. If you're licensed for 80 kids and there's 0 kids inside, that is not an accident, that's fraud. Governor Tim Walz has publicly said this problem is being addressed. He said that the state is aware of the fraud and safeguards are being put in place, and this situation won't be allowed to continue.
Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. And I will note, it's not just Somalis. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can.
So this raised a very simple question.
هلا يا جماعة يعني هلا بهذا الشيء حقيقي ولا ما حقيقي؟ اكتبوا لي رأيكم. يعني انه دار رعاية لازم يكون فيها اطفال، نظامي حكيون، هذا الشيء يعني محق فيه. وينهم الاطفال؟ انتوا لازم تصرحوا وين الاطفال كمان، يعني كمان الواحد يحكي اللي له واللي عليه. هذا الامر مزبوط.
How is this still happening after weeks of press coverage? National attention is on this situation. How are these same facilities still open? How are the same checks being cut? How are businesses with no children still collecting taxpayer money?
Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child, you've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody in there.
So what do you think about this daycare center? They spelled learning wrong. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
99 children.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None at all. None.
Because once something like this is exposed, the bare minimum response is to freeze payments and verify services. Clearly, that didn't happen, which means either the fixes are just cosmetic, the oversight has no teeth in the game, or the system is moving so slowly that the fraudsters are still cashing in while politicians hold press conferences. The state knows what's going on. These payments should stop immediately, but they didn't.
Try to get in, rang the doorbell, nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday.
So you look at this, middle of the day, weekday, door is locked. The place is supposed to be caring for kids right now. You should be hearing the laughter and play and the screaming of children, but nothing's happening. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. If you dropped off your kid at a daycare and saw this, you'll probably call the police and not write them a check. There's no playground, no staff, no kids running around, no backpacks, no strollers, no parents coming and going, just silence. And yet, if you
يعني لازم كانوا هن يبينوا هذا الشيء. وطيب ممكن يوم عطلة عندهم يا ممكن هيك عطلوا الأطفال بسبب الثلوج أو شيء ممكن يا أخي يعني لازم يبينوا إنه اليوم عطلة إنه اليوم حتى الناس تعرف.
You are a resident of Minnesota, millions of your tax dollars is being given to these types of locations. This is the equivalent of a restaurant getting paid for serving hundreds of meals a day while the kitchen is closed, the lights are off, and the doors are locked. And we're supposed to believe that this is normal. At this point, we are way past just mistakes. This is either total incompetence or willful blindness, where no one wants to look too closely because the money is already flowing into some very powerful people's bank accounts.
These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars. I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door. Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Why? Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare. And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
And the most ridiculous part, this is happening after everything. This should have been stopped a long time ago.
This one is different because, according to the state of Minnesota, this 312 West Lake Street houses not one, not two, but three child care centers and is licensed to hold 102 children.
So right here we have 2 child daycare centers. We have the Minnesota Child Care Center, and then we also have Nuna. Between the two, 2.66 million. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Why are you recording?
Yes. We would like to know.
Well, it says we're trying to figure out 102 children. Is that for this facility?
What is the name? Why is it?
It's from the state of Minnesota website. Where are the children? It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding.
We'd like to ask where the money's going. Look at that. Shut us down.
I mean, this is insane. 2, sometimes 3 daycare businesses, same address, same building, all getting paid.
يا جماعة هذا الشيء خطأ. ليش ما عم تبينوا؟ ليش عم بتنهزموا؟ ليش عم بتخافوا؟ ما لازم تخاف من إذا أنت صح ما لازم تخاف. هذا الشيء اللي عم بيساوي قنبلة موقوتة للناس. يعني هذا الشيء مزبوط. يعني كلامه صح. وين عم بيروحوا هالأموال؟ وين الأطفال؟ مزبوط حكيه. يعني وينهم؟ هذا الشيء لازم يبينوه. الصوماليين الموجودين هناك لازم يكونوا بقوة موجودين، مو يسكروا الباب وينهزموا ويسكروا. يعني لازم تبين لهذا الشيء.
Any normal person sees this would say, hey, there's something wrong here. That is why the U.S. Attorney said that Minnesota has basically become a tourist attraction for fraud.
And this case is slightly different. This is an instance of what's essentially fraud tourism. Mr. Jefferson and Brown were residents of Philadelphia who had no connection to Minnesota, except for they heard that Minnesota and its Housing Stabilization Services program was easy money. And so they traveled to Minnesota, enrolled their companies in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota.
And honestly, He's not wrong. If you are a fraudster or a scammer looking around the country and asking, where can I set up shop, file paperwork, and get paid without doing anything, without anyone checking, Minnesota would be on the top of the list. I mean, look at the pattern. Same address, same people, same business models, and the money keeps flowing. Obviously, this did not happen by accident. Fraud goes where enforcement is weak. It goes where oversight is slow. It goes where consequences are rare. And when the word got out, when people see that others are getting away with it, more fraud follows. That's how you turn a problem into an industry. That's why some people are saying that there's potential billions of dollars being stolen. So why didn't the state catch this? Why didn't the governor's administration shut this down immediately? Does he think no one was going to check? Because either no one was checking or someone assumed someone else was. And when the government is moving like that, fraud doesn't just slip through the cracks, it sets up shop. Either way, taxpayers in Minnesota are losing.
There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address. So there's false documentation being submitted to the state of Minnesota for services never provided. They're having forms signed in advance for services that were then never rendered. As far as a year or 2 years in advance, they'll have someone sign these forms at one sitting, and then they just file those with the state of Minnesota.
This isn't just daycare money. This is healthcare money. This is Medicaid money. 10, 15, 20 companies. Again, same building, same service. That's how you burn through billions of dollars very quickly. This is how Minnesota went from the surplus they had to a deficit. And somehow, looks like to this day, payments are still going.
Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about
بالفعل يا جماعة يعني عم بتسكر بدك تبين يعني في شغلات خطأ عم بتساووها، في شغلات أخطاء فادحة، يعني عم ببين إنه عم بتلبسكم جريمة الاحتيال تلبيس.
it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing?
Sir, when are you going to hold Governor Walz? No. She is a representative for the state of Minnesota. Yes or no?
Excuse me?
Yes. Are you?
If you're going to talk to me like that,
are you going to say to her, I'm a disability advocate?
I think what you heard today is that the Republicans who control this committee are not actually interested in solving fraud. What they're interested in is telling a story.
This fraud has happened underneath Democrat leader Tim Walz.
You know who runs Medicare? President Trump. Medicaid fraud is a 50-state issue. And so, again, it is not a partisan issue.
And this, it just drives me crazy. That's why I do not like politicians at all. I'm not a big fan. They say fraud happens everywhere. This isn't partisan. We're working on it. Okay, but here's the problem. The fraud is happening right now. The businesses are still open. The checks are still going out. Leadership means that this bleeding should have stopped a long time ago, and it hasn't happened. But they're so desperate to not look racist in front of the press instead of directly handling this problem, going after the people who are committing the fraud. Is every single Somalian doing it? No. Who cares? Billions of dollars are being lost. Why are they so worried about how they look instead of actually solving the problem? Billions of dollars being lost by taxpayer money hurts every single Minnesotan, whether you're white or black, whether you came from Somalia or not. This is an epic disaster. Governor Tim Walz's watch, this fraud is still happening. This is on him. He's either complicit or he's incompetent. Both will destroy the state of Minnesota. If a YouTuber can find this in one afternoon, the state has no excuse. This isn't about race. This isn't even about politics. This is about missing kids, fake services, and real taxpayer money. Until these checks stop, nothing is fixed. You can check out Nick Shirley's video in full. I'll put the link in the description box below. This is an epic embarrassment.
يا جماعة لهون انتهى الفيديو. الله يسعدكم. تحية كبيرة لكم. تحية كبيرة لكم. طيب طبعا يا جماعة الفيديو كان يعني ممتاز، بس في شغلات نقاط حمر على اخواتنا بالصومال. انه لك ليش هيك عم بتساووا؟ انه بينوا مو كل، وهذا قال شغله حلوه، انه مو كل الصوماليين بفرد يعني كفه وحده، يعني بس عم بتاثروا على غيركم، بهالامور هاي اللي عم بتساووها، يعني عالم عم تاخذ وعالم عم بتاثر عليها. الله يعين الفقير. تحيه كبيره لكم. طيب اذا عجبكم الفيديو اعطونا لايك واشتركوا القناه، شاركوا الفيديو مع اصدقائكم مع العيله وين ما كان. بتمنى يكون من الحكومة الأمريكية تحاسب هدول الأشخاص، وليش عم تحاسبوا شعب كامل. تحية كبيرة لكم. كان معكم عبيد كلاس، والسلام عليكم.